Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be taking leaf cuttings from Drosera, so Sundews basically, and I'm going to be taking them of both temperate and subtropical species. So this is a great way of propagating your Drosera really quickly, and it can be done in the growing season, so you don't have to wait till winter to do this. You could do this any time of the year really. Obviously if you are taking them in the late of the year you do need to protect them from the cold, but I'm going to be doing some more. I did some a couple of months ago on some typical Banata, so these are how big they are now. I think they're about 3 months old now, I'm not really sure. I did two different propagation cutting methods. So I did one in water where I just placed the cuttings in water, and then the other one I put on top of sphagnum moss. So the method that I did with just cutting the leaves and putting on sphagnum moss, I got, I think there's about 3 in here. And I did a spatulata cutting as well, so even the smallest sundews can be propagated like this, except pygmy sundews. They're the ones that can't really be propagated in this method. They can only be produced by gamete or from seed. And then this is the one, or the results I got from the water method. So I just took 3 bits of leaf from a typical Drosera Banata, and I got quite a few in here, so I've already taken 2 of these out, but the pot is still really full of them. So when I took them, I literally just used like one of these curry pot type things to start them off. So this is where they started. I had 2 of these, one with water in and one with sphagnum moss, and that's what I'm going to be doing similar today. So I'll show you some other examples that I've done and show you basically the method how to do it. So like I said, it's a really easy method and great way to propagate your Drosera really quickly. I have set up everything that you'll need, so I think I'm going to do a few examples. So I'm going to do one in a tray like this, and I'm going to do, I think, one water method, which I'll put in a little tub like that, and then I'll put one in just a normal pot. So for this I have selected mainly temperate species to take cuttings from, but it works just the same on your average subtropical to tropical. So I've got a filiformis here. Another common Banata because it worked so well last time, I thought I'd try again. This is my only subtropical plant I'm using for this experiment, is the Drosera Elysee. And then here I have got some rotundifolia, which again are a temperate UK native sundew. I took some rotundifolia just, I think it was only like last week or a couple of weeks ago. Took some other leaves as well, but they all died. That was my fault, I kind of left it a bit too humid. But these are the ones I've been doing inside, and as you can see from that tiny little leaf there's 2 plantlets growing there. So I'm quite glad that's happened. That's why I want to take some more from the rotundifolia. And then these I took only, I think, 2 days ago, are some filiformis. So I've literally just simply laid them on the moss. These ones I have been keeping outside. When they form plantlets like that, I bring them outside and put them in indirect light, but for this video I have just placed them this side, and these ones will be going back in my room under my propagator light once I have finished with them. Okay, firstly I'm going to do some in this pot. So I've already placed peat just below the top rim of it, and moist that already, and then over the top I'm going to put some sphagnum moss. So obviously I've got some long fibre sphagnum moss, but I think I'm going to cut it up for the purpose of this. I always just find it's easier. I quite like just cutting it up on top. It makes it finer, so it's easier to place the cuttings on top of the soil. So just spread it out evenly. There's no really telling how much obviously you need. The cuttings just only really need to be moist, hence why it can work in water as well. And then they'll easily propagate through those means. So I'm just going to do a little bit over the top and spread it out evenly. Again, cutting it finer like this helps you spread it out as well. In the when it remains in the long fibres that it is, it's sometimes quite hard to place around the pot and spread out evenly. Okay, so now I have moistened the sphagnum moss, I'm going to take some cuttings. So I think first of all I'm going to take them off these rotundifolia. So what you're looking for is a nice healthy leaf. So this leaf I think I'm going to take here. Luckily there isn't any dead or dying leaves on these at the moment, so they're quite easy to take. So just simply snip the leaf off really gently, and obviously you can wear gloves or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to use my hands, even though I'm probably going to get dew all over them, especially when handling that filiformis soon. But yeah, so then all you have to do is just place the leaf on top of the soil, or moss. So you don't need to bury it or anything. I'm just going to place it like that, and then I'm going to take a few more. So I don't know why I moved that back actually. So you never know how many plantlets you're going to get from taking these, so you can get quite a few. I was lucky with the banana ones that I took, that I got loads of seedlings, where on a smaller leaf you might only get 1 or 2 plants, but either way it's still a best way to propagate them. As you can see, it's just such an efficient, easy method. All you have to do is just literally cut the leaves off and place them on top like that. So I'm going to take 3 of them, and then just to show you a subtropical species, I haven't done the Aliciae before, but again it's the same process. So you just select a good leaf. So I think I'm going to select this one here and then cut it off. These ones are a bit more dewy, and then just place them on top of the moss, if you can place them down. Sometimes it's quite hard to place them down and they're this sticky. Stay. I think I'll take 1 more of them while there's an extra gap. So I'll take maybe an older leaf, I'll just move it, and I'll take it from underneath this stalk here, like that, and then place it on the soil. And that's literally for the first one. So this one I'm going to keep in my greenhouse. I'm going to place it in an indirect sunlight place, so I won't keep it on this side. It's got too much strong light. So I'm going to place it on the other side, make sure it's always moist and in indirect light, and then hopefully in a couple of weeks these leaves will still remain green. It doesn't even matter if they start going brown. Sometimes I've found with the banatas they started going brown, but the plantlets came just right at the end, and then when the whole original leaf died off, the plantlets still grew. So I wouldn't worry about them going too brown. Obviously it's only when they go completely brown and there's no growth that obviously it's been unsuccessful. But yeah, so hopefully these will work, and obviously I'll update on those if they do work. So now I'm going to show you either the tray or the water method, I think. Okay, so next I am going to do the water method, purely because it is probably way more interesting than the tray method that I'll do after, because it's basically the same as what I just did with the pot, obviously, but the tray just does not have drainage holes. So this is an interesting method, because the first time I ever tried it was with those banana cuttings, and I didn't expect it to work as well as the sphagnum moss, and it did. If anything, it was even better, because I only got 2 with the sphagnum moss method, and about, I would say, 10 from doing the water method. So you just need, I'm going to do it again with the same pot I did last time. So a little pot like this is just a little curry pot, and then use your distilled reverse osmosis or rainwater. I use rainwater, and just fill up your container like that. I'm just going to put a little bit more, I think, in there, like that. So that's all you need to do for the water side. Obviously not all the way up to the top, because I am going to put the lid on it. Again, this one I'm going to put in my room, probably under my propagator or to the side of it. You could keep it, obviously, if you don't have the space for a propagator or anything like that, you can still keep it outside. I'm sure it works just as well, but I like starting my stuff off in my propagator just purely because it's quicker in terms of propagation. So I'm going to do the banana cuttings in here again, because I know how successful it was last time. I was going to cut it off my adult at the back, but actually I think I'm going to take them from my ones that recently propagated. So the leaves are big enough now that I could cut it off, because the ones I took originally from these adults were tiny. I got these adults just coming out of dormancy, I think, and the leaves were tiny, and I still propagated them. So this leaf might be way too small that I've just taken. However, I would say that they're about the same size as the ones I took before. So I'm just going to place that. Don't want it. So they just float on the top. You don't need to obviously make them sink. I don't think they will anyway. I did try the first time experimenting with this, and they just remain on the top. That's why I said obviously don't put the water all the way up. I'm going to take... So for this I'm taking some older leaves. You can take some newer ones, but I think I like taking these little older leaves because obviously they're not really being used, and they'll still make good propagation material because they're old but they're not dead or dying, so they're not brown. And I'm going to put 2 of them in there. Oh god, nearly had that over them. That would have been funny. I had to start that all over again. I might take one more. I might take some filiformis actually, because I know that I've seen many people do them in water as well. I'm just going to nip the top off, I think, of one of these leaves, and I'll cut that leaf off in a minute to do the tray method. Is that a bit too long? I'll take a little bit more off of that actually. Take the top off. Like that. So for the filiformis I've taken something like that. And I'll stick that in the middle. Obviously these leaves are going to be attracted to each other. Some people do them like test tubes or stuff like that. I did mine, like I said, in this pot. I think I've got 4 pots that look like this, so it's one of those. So don't worry about them all touching each other because they'll propagate all just the same. And that is literally, again, it for that one. I would say they take about the same amount of time to propagate. Mine, I don't know what came up first, either the water ones or the ones I did on Sphagnum moss. But again, I'm going to keep the lid on this. I don't seal it properly, I just seal like half of it, or just have it resting on the top, because you don't want it obviously sweating. So if you are having it in like a greenhouse type environment, you don't want to cook the leaves or anything. So either under a grow light or in a what's the word like a partially shaded area, like dimly lit. That's it. Finally got there. So yeah, that's the water method. And finally I'm going to do some in this tray. So this tray allows me to take bigger leaf cuttings, so I could take some longer filiformis leaves without cutting them up too much, and I could probably take some from my adult Bonata at the back. But obviously it doesn't really matter what container you use. The only thing with this one, obviously it does not have drainage holes, so you have to be a bit more cautious of watering. You don't want to waterlog them or flood them. You just want to keep them moist, especially if you're keeping the lid on. Again, that's the reason why you don't want them to be in the full sun, because obviously it will cook them. So in a dimly lit, cooler area to stop them overheating. So I'm not really going to cut up the moss, I don't think. I'm just going to lay it in the bottom of here. So as you can see, keeping it as long fibred, it is quite hard to space. That's why I prefer to cut it up, but it still fits all the same. I'm coming to the end of that, so it's all just bitty at the moment. Yeah, and then once obviously you've got it all spaced out, again you don't need it too much in there. Once you wet it as well, you could probably space it out a bit more. That's what I'm going to do in a second. But after you've laid your moss in the Tupperware pot, again moisten it to make sure that it's damp but not waterlogged. Okay, so now I've moistened this, and as you can see it's spaced out a lot better. So I've used the same amount of moss that was before. I haven't added any more, and it's spaced out quite nicely actually. I'm surprised about that. So I'm going to take some longer leaf cuttings now, because obviously I've got my filiformis. If I just move that out of the way. So with this, I could select some of these older leaves. They may still work just the same. It's only obviously when they're completely brown, so anything like that wouldn't be good. But the rest of this leaf, in theory, there's still a chance of working. Like I said, I do like taking the older leaves purely because I don't like spoiling the beauty of the plant. But this filiformis has got loads of leaves on, which you can see, like that. I'm going to take, I think, this leaf here, because it's just pointing out to the side. So these are probably going to be the hardest to take just because of how sticky they are. The filiformis is like one of the stickiest Sundews, so it's going to be absolutely horrible to take. So I might try and do it in such a way. So if I just move that over there for a second. I might try and cut it up as I go. So I'm currently holding the bit of the leaf where it joins the plant that isn't sticky, and I am now going to place it like that. So obviously this whole leaf won't fit, but if I do like half and half, so I'm going to cut it here. This is where it's going to get stuck. Oh no, it didn't. And then the other bit here. So this is a lot healthier leaf than the ones that I took the other day. The other ones I took were a little bit older, but I just like experimenting with different things. So again, this whole thing is like an experiment for myself, in a way. So this is the first time I'm doing it without, wait no, I did it without drainage holes last time. Okay, so it's the first time that I'm doing it in a pot in the greenhouse, but I've done the water method and the tray method before. But I'm trying different leaves this time, so I'm doing Filiformis, Aliciae, Rotundifolia. I might take an Anglica just because I took a cut. That was what was in the other pot with the other Rotundifolia that was successful, but unfortunately, like I said, I accidentally killed a few of them. So even with this Bonata, I don't know if you can see it over there, if I just move that forward as well, which you can see it's also flowering as well. So a leaf like this, so it's starting to go brown, but it's not completely brown. I am going to take it. I'm going to try it, because I think it'll still work. I mean, I'm not exactly fussed, because it's such a easy propagation method. It doesn't matter if, obviously, it fails, because again, it's always like going to be a 50% chance, because you can't tell 100% if they're going to work or not. So I took these younger leaves. I could take, I'm going to take this one as well, just cut my plant about like that. I'll place this one at the back here. So as you can see already, they don't really fit on the tray. So I'm going to cut this one up. So you can cut it however you want. Last time, like, I cut it in little bits, so I like cut it here and then like across here. But for this, I'm going to cut this bit of the leaf off here. Sorry about my secateurs, they just keep squeaking. They're just old ones that I've had in here. I just use them for practically everything. So I'm just gonna, I've put it upside down, but I'm sure that's fine. Obviously, if they do keep pointing up a little bit like it's doing here, then maybe place, I'm going to put a little bit of moss. I say a little bit, I just almost pulled out the whole thing. Right, yeah, I'm going to move the moss in such a way. With this one as well, which I took, as you can see, that's already brown, so I'm going to cut that off as well. And then now I've got like weird spear shape leaves. So I've taken quite a bit of the Bonata, so I might get a lot of them. I need something to cover that. I'll just use a bit like that, and I'm just going to cover the end of it, which might go often just so it's staying down, because I don't want it to keep pointing out. Because if it's not in contact with the moisture, then it's not going to propagate as well. But yeah, so that's what I've got for this one. So I've got some Filiformis and some Bonata cuttings. Obviously, watching it 3 times over is, you know, probably maybe a little bit boring. But, so I've just shown you, you know, 3 different ways of how you can take them and which ones you can take. Well, you can take any Drosera that you've got. Like I said, I was going to take some Anglica, but I could do that in a separate pot. If I've got any pictures of the water method when it first started, like showing plantlets, then I'll put them over this video, because I know I did take some, but I'm not sure where they are. But I might show you the start of them germinating, just to show you what they look like as little plantlets. When they start growing into plantlets, obviously you can then take them and repot them. So obviously with these, I repot into a bigger pot, so they were only in those little curry pots that I showed you earlier. And then once they get to like a decent size, you can take them out here, and they've grown really well actually being out here. They've gone a lot taller. They're starting to get a bit leggy in my propagator, so after moving them out here, they've done a lot better. But that is simply the easiest method to take leaf cuttings from your Droseras. So I hope you find this really useful, and thank you very much for watching.